Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from. We are here today with Rick Valdez, also known as Ricardo Valdez. He is the CEO of UTMStack. Hey, Rick, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm super excited to have this fireside chat with you today and talk about the new emerging threat vectors. What's emerging as far as threats that the bad actors are doing in 2023. I'm sure a lot that we've already know about, but you think you're going to tell us about a few new angles that they're going to be using?
Yeah, sure.
All
Well,
right.
yeah,
Before we get started, let me ask you a quick question though. Where are you based out of? I always ask people, how's the weather?
we're based here in sunny Miami, Florida, so it's
Okay.
always nice weather here.
All right. Well, you're deep down south like me. I'm in South Carolina, just a couple states up, and the weather is 71 today. You just about couldn't ask for a better day. How about you in Miami? What's the weather?
I think it's like 74 here, so it's also a good day for us.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Well, that is exciting. Well, I know you guys are new sponsors to IT Business Owners Group. Thank you for that. So tell us a little bit about UTM Stack.
Well, UTMStack is a unified threat management platform that is specifically created for small and medium-sized businesses. When we started doing businesses a few years ago, we realized that there was a gap in the market, especially in solutions, in cybersecurity solutions for small and medium businesses that couldn't afford expensive tools and at the same time needed something that was more enterprise ready than most open source solutions out there. So we decided to do something about it and launch basically that all-in-one solution that is able to deliver all essential cybersecurity services for free. So there is a community version that is very popular, and also with a paid plan that only extends up to support, and
Okay.
really making cybersecurity more affordable to everyone.
Okay. Excellent. Well, that is wonderful news. I know we're going to talk about these attack vectors and everything, and the things that the threat actors are doing new in 2023. What's the best way to get that intel? How do you find that getting that intel is the easiest way to obtain it for you?
Well, that is a great question. So we have a huge community of free users that
Mhm.
are actively using our applications and our solutions everywhere across the world. So these free users help us obtain different data points. For example, whenever someone is a victim of a denial of service attack or a brute force attack, we're able to get all that information and feed it into our threat intelligence platform. It's like that central database where we get all the information about the latest data points and techniques used by attackers. And not only that, we also have a really good relationship with all our partners and all our customers. So whenever something new happens to them and they need assistance, we jump in, we help them, and we document the newest things that are happening. Like what are the latest techniques that we have been observing? What are the latest attack patterns that are emerging?
So, what is, as the CEO of UTM Stack, what is your background? How did you get involved in creating this company and creating this product and solution?
Well, at the beginning, uh, uh, everything began on 2014. Before 2014, I was only like working on the database world, then jumped into cloud architecture and just found this gap in the market. So after finding this gap in the market, a group of friends and I decided, hey, let's do something about it. And saw a huge success on that product. And well, we decided to dedicate our time to this initiative. But that's basically a little bit of history around, how we got here.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So, what do you want to share about the emerging trends that you all are seeing?
Well, there are three main things that we are seeing, and that we almost see like every single week. We see someone affected by these attack patterns, or someone reporting these attack patterns, or we see the alerts in our systems that are basically alerting the customers that these attack vectors are being used by attackers. So the number one, and this represents about 91% of the attacks on web applications and that also make successful ransomware attacks, is basically credentials trading. So let's say your company has an account in Adobe, for example. In 2019, Adobe had a data breach. So all the users and passwords of the people that use Adobe were exposed to the internet. And statistically, about 71% of users reuse the same password everywhere. So hackers who just purchased the database, got it from the dark web, from dark web forums and markets, use that, set those same credentials to gain access into corporate systems. Basically, they reuse the same password that you use on Adobe to get into your into corporate enterprise systems. Then after that, they sometimes impersonate the user and ask someone else for, to do something, and it kind of escalates. And whenever when you least expect it, they already have access to sensitive systems and services accounts.
And that's why they always say it's so important to never use a password twice. Always have unique passwords for every site. So I know that I used to not be very password conscious, but back in 2019, I actually went through and we got on a password manager and went through and updated all our passwords and made them all randomly generated. I think what do they say about passwords, that if it is, what's the criteria, that if it's over 12 characters in length and randomly generated, so it has uppercase, lowercase, numbers, letters, symbols, everything, that it would be so many years for someone to actually go in and brute force the password to crack it.
Yeah, the sweet spot right now is at least 12 characters.
Okay.
And if you can put a special character in there, it makes it a lot stronger.
Okay. Well, good deal there. So what about a password manager? I mentioned that briefly. How important is that now? And God, what about what we just saw in the news recently?
Honestly, we are not fans of password managers. We discourage using any password manager that saves your credentials online. If you're going to use a password manager, use something that saves the information either on your browser or in your operating system. If your passwords are your most important asset, why are you getting another possible point of failure in the equation? You're basically giving your passwords to a third party.
So you said keep the password in the browser? Like,
when I mean in the browser, it's not keeping them safe in the browser, but if you're going to use a password manager, use something that works on your operating system.
Okay.
That will save them in your operating system. Having them online with a third party, the problem with having passwords on a third party is, they might say, we use a unique key that we don't even have knowledge of. And that's a really good point. But what if the password that the user used to log into the platform and is the same key that was used to encrypt the passwords that are saved? What if that master password is also exposed on the dark web eventually? The attackers.
What if it's their Adobe password?
They will be able to brute force it and get everything,
Right,
so,
right.
At least my personal recommendation is use something, based on your operating system, or try to find a methodology in which you don't even have to use a password manager. For example, my personal methodology, I have like a mental algorithm that computes a password based on the URL of the website where I'm logging in. So I apply different algorithms. And it's a very complex algorithm that every time I do the math in my mind, it's always going to generate a random password based on the URL, and I can recompute that later back. But it's a brain thing.
I read a statistic, Ricardo, that was talking about what the percentage of people that reuses passwords over and over. Do you know what that percentage is?
71%.
Okay, so 71% of people reuse the same password over and over and over. That's an uphill battle, because it's just going to continue to happen. Once these other companies get breached, then their data is exposed there on the dark web. So What is a suggestion for someone you've got that might be watching right now and they still are using the same password for multiple sites? What is your suggestion for someone who knows that they need to improve their security hygiene?
Well, first change your password, and second, get two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication. That's the second point, the second attack vectors. If you're gonna get two-factor authentication,
Okay.
don't text messages two-factor authentication. Don't get email two-factor authentication. Use always something like a token or something that you have to touch in your phone to identify a specific a number or to approve the login from a notification on your phone. And that's one of the resources that I shared with you before, Scott, before this presentation today,
Sure.
Scott. It's a screenshot of one of the techniques we're seeing very often now, that attackers are basically impersonating an Office 365 login screen. So you think you're logging into Office 365, so you type your username, your password, and then it asks you for two-factor authentication, but at the end of the day, it's a fake website. So when you get the message in your phone with a code that you have to enter, and you enter it on the fake website, the attacker on the other side is getting that code that you just typed in, and he's logging into your account at the same time that you're typing the credentials. So it's a very smart way to go around two-factor authentication. And the only way to prevent that is, don't use a phone text as a two-factor authentication method or email as a two-factor authentication
Well,
method.
what if you use a token-based app program, authenticator app on your phone? I mean, couldn't the same thing technically happen with an authenticator app? I mean, if you weren't
Yeah.
aware, if you were in a hurry and you didn't pay attention to that address bar at the top that stated, this is abc.com versus Microsoft, and it looks legitimate. So the end user goes to put that in, they type in their password, and then all of a sudden they go to their phone and they type it out. Oh, let me wait on the next code. Okay, so I type the code in. Those codes typically rotate every 30 seconds?
Yeah, it rotates every 30 seconds, but attackers are there. They are waiting for the code to come in. And as soon as you put it, they're gonna put it as well, and they're gonna get in. So the ideal thing is, when I say use a token authentication or use an app on your phone, is one of those apps that ask you for authentication, and you have to click the app and say, hey, you see where the user is trying to authenticate from, like, hey, there's a login attempt. You have probably seen it before in Okta, for example, that it's a, hey, there's a new login attempt from Miami, Florida, or from here or from there.
Yeah.
Do you approve? Then you say yes, and then it lets your account continue. But at least you are seeing, where the login attempt is happening from. Where is it coming from? You are not like getting a token that you are typing in a fake website, and then there is someone getting the same token in real time as you're typing it.
Right. So really, it just needs to be like an approve or deny.
An approve or deny with awareness of the login location.
Okay.
That's like one of the most secure ways to do two-factor authentication today's day.
Okay. So what do you think about the authenticator apps where you scan a QR code and it turns your cell phone into a secure token? Do you like those as well?
Yeah, many of these authenticator apps, like for example, the Microsoft Authenticator supports this feature. You can say, hey, I want to approve it or not. The Okta Authenticator also has support for this feature.
Authy?
So the
Okay.
OKTA, Okta, I think is the name. They
Okay.
also have support for these features. So you can say, yeah, I approve or I don't approve, and you see the location of the login,
So what
So
is your multi-factor authentication uh, product of choice? I say product because I mean, like, do you like Microsoft Authenticator? That's what I mean. Authenticator. What's your authenticator of choice?
we use Microsoft Authenticator for approving the connections. And of course, we also have like VPNs and a few additional things.
Okay.
So as a cybersecurity company, we have to have a layer approach. So we actually have multiple layers. So you cannot even access the standard systems without a VPN. So you will have to go through a VPN authentication plus a standard public facing Office 365 authentication. So it's a little bit complex.
Okay. Well, good deal. Well, I was going to see if we had any questions in the chat. Let me see. I don't see any. Oh, hi. Sam Sapp said, hi, couple minutes late. Push notification approval. I'd heard that was preferred. Yeah, push notification. So that keeps it rather than just giving up the code. Because if you give up the code, you're pretty much giving up your private key.
Yeah, yeah. And the very first next step they do after they give the code, after you give them the code, is that they will basically add an alternative phone for logging into the system. They will add it to your account. And yeah, they will get basically unlimited access after that. They won't even need your phone anymore. So that's why avoid text messages, avoid email codes in the email. Tokens are a little bit safer, but still my preferred method is, just notification approval, where you can actually see where is your login coming from, and that it actually matches the timing where you're doing it,
Okay. Good deal. Good deal. Well, that's all good information. Anything else you want to share with the community before we wrap it up?
Well, yeah. These attack vectors we're seeing every day, of course. There are multiple options to mitigate them and to prevent this type of attacks. Probably the most popular option is to be aggressive. When you adopt a security posture, try to be as aggressive as possible. One of the things people are doing a lot is getting dark web monitoring services. Not a personal focused dark web monitoring service, but something that covers the entire scope of the organization. At UTMStack, we have a tool called InsecureWeb. Actually has a very comprehensive free plan. So if you guys want to give it a try, it's 100% free. Just type InsecureWeb in the browser, and it will tell you if your business data is somewhere on the dark web. Maybe one of your employees got their data compromised. You might want to know before an attacker gets access to that.
And tell me that link one more time.
Let me type it here in the chat. It's InsecureWeb.com. The free plan is usually enough for most organizations, unless you are like an MSP or a bigger organization that.
So if somebody wants to sign up and get involved with UTMStack, that's the best thing that they can do. Just go to InsecureWeb.com. Is that correct? Or
yeah, that's InsecureWeb.com. That's the dark web monitoring piece of the equation. Now for phishing protection and other things, then you can go to UTMStack.com.
Okay.
UTMStack.com is also a free tool, and it provides more comprehensive protection, more like being able to identify connections to blacklisted IPs in real time, analyze network traffic. It's a little bit more complex. There is also a promotion in the IT business group. If you're planning to monitor 25 devices or less, it's actually free. You can get an enterprise license with support and everything included for free if you're a member of the group.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I can't wait to try it out, Ricardo. Thank you so much. We appreciate all the support, and I am excited to dive into UTMStack and by way of InsecureWeb.com.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day, Ricardo, to talk with us and let us know a little bit about InsecureWeb and SecureStack. So awesome. Well, I sure do appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we'll have to do this again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ricardo. All right. Bye-bye.